Winston Churchill once said, "We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give." A very good evening to you all, and welcome to the October edition of our membership forum. Now, we all know that the mission of any club is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in so much of self-confidence and personal growth. So as you already know, our guest speaker here today is here to speak to us on how much club mentoring matters for a new club to achieve its mission. Now, this individual joining us today is, in my point of view, a very humble yet multifaceted individual who has been a Toastmaster since the year 2004. He was the district governor of District 82 of the Toastmasters International in 2011-12, which included clubs of both India and Sri Lanka. He was the conference chair of the District 82 Annual Conference, Ovation 2017. He is a distinguished Toastmaster who has served as the Chief Ambassador for the Pathways Program in District 82 as well. Currently, he is serving as the District Chief Judge of District 82. So please join me in welcoming our guest speaker today, distinguished Toastmaster Samin M. Salim. We are honored to have you with us today, sir, to enlighten our audience on the topic of effective club mentoring. So
thank you very much for that grand welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, sir. So let's now dive right into our panel discussion without further ado. Now, it may be depicted as if it's made out of metal, but truly the ladder of success is a network of interlocking hands. Now, newly formed clubs on an upward climb often makes it to the next rung thanks to an outstretched hand. And many of these hands belong to club mentors. So, sir, let's begin with who is a club mentor and why does somebody really need to be a club mentor?
Thank you, Hashini. Yeah, that is the question that we should be asking ourselves. Who is a club mentor? See, to become a mentor to a club or an individual, you should be able to passionately get involved in it. Now, what I see is to be a club mentor, you should be very well acquainted with the people in the club. Now, usually what happens is, unfortunately, we live in a world where we go behind rewards. Yeah, I'm not saying going behind rewards is a bad thing. You should expect rewards for good work. But when it comes to Toastmastering, I would say a mentor should be a person who is very passionately involved with the new team of the club. When we talk about a club, with the new team, so they should be the mentor should be able to seamlessly gel with the team and befriend, and that would be the best choice to become a mentor rather than quite a stranger, a new person who is a bit nervous to mingle with the new crowd and all that. Rather than that, a person who is quite acquainted with the new team. I think they are the people who should become the mentors.
Thank you, sir. I think that was a very clear definition of who a club mentor is and why and what kind of person should be a club mentor. Now I come to move on to my next question. What is the role of a club mentor and what is the responsibility and duty attached to this role as a club mentor?
The role of the club mentor is everything. I would say now, if we really look at the mechanism of starting a new club, see whether it's a community club or a corporate club, there are a group of people who would like to start a Toastmaster club for their own benefit. So there are two types of people who should be involved in that to give a great start to this new club. They are the sponsors and the mentors. Generally, the sponsors get involved before the club is started, and the mentors get involved after the club is started. Now, mentorship is not something that you can be appointed. Okay, just out of the blue, the district cannot call me and ask me to mentor a club, because a mentorship is a relationship. So when you are in a relationship with a team of people, the roles and responsibilities, the entire thing, from discharging, or rather delivering the education program to the members, guiding them how to conduct meetings and how they should look up to the activities in the district, the trainings, the payments, everything put together comes under the mentor. So the mentor's role is to help the club and guide them to become a better club. So that would be that. So there's no set of rules written down somewhere. These are the duties of the mentor, and these are not the duties. I would say a mentor's job is everything.
Thank you, sir. So I believe those two questions, the answers to those two questions really covered the basics of what club mentoring is all about, especially for those who are aspiring to become club mentors, who are looking forward to this. I think those two definitions really made them understand what this club mentoring process is all about. So my next question would be, what are the key aspects that really need to be focused on when mentoring a club? Now, of course, you said that you wouldn't say there are any do's and don'ts, right? So with that, along with this, the next question would be, how often should a club mentor visit a club? How would you answer this question? This is actually a question that came in from the audience. How would you answer this question?
Yeah, they are great questions. Great question. Let's say first how now, in my experience, how did I become a mentor for few clubs? Now, usually, sometimes when a new club is being in the offing, being chartered, I quite often get calls asking me, Salim, can you become a mentor to this club? I actually love to help members, and I love to help clubs and people prosper. But if I cannot find time, and if I cannot find time to devote to that club, I say no, because that is the biggest responsibility a time a mentor should have. They should have the time for the club. Now, if I talk of my experience, when I was an area director, I knew, okay, to make my area a president's distinguished, I should start a new club. Every area director would know. But I was waiting to find a group of people who would who would be willing to start a club. So fortunately, quite by accident, at a wedding, somebody came and asked me, Salim, we would like to have a club in Panadura. Would you able to be help? I said, yes. Who would be the people? They said, we ourselves. So in a wedding, we meet friends. So there were quite a few number of friends, and they say we all will be willing. So that was a very quite a comfortable crowd for me. I said okay, and we went ahead starting that club. So first and foremost, they were my friends, and I was very comfortable to associate with them. And then, how often should you visit? I would say every meeting possible, at least for 6 months. 6 months is the recommended period, but every meeting possible, because in the beginning, when you work with a brand new set of Toastmasters, they don't know anything. They don't know what a table topics is. They don't know how to do an evaluation. They don't know many things, because they are just beginning. for for them sometimes it may be overwhelming. So the mentor should visit them, sit with them, and guide them. Now when I say mentor should visit them, sit with them, and guide them, sometimes I see that people kind of do not allow the new group to come out with their own culture, because each club is a different culture. Now my club would have one culture, but I cannot go and implant that into a new team. I would let the culture evolve itself within themselves. All what I would do as a mentor is to help them. Okay, this is how you do an evaluation. This is how you set up your agenda, and this is how you give opportunities for every member to participate in the meetings. And this is how you make a club meeting interesting, so on and so forth. Rather than kind of commanding them, okay, the president should sit here, the table topic master should here, and the timer should sit here. So I shouldn't try to impose my club culture in the new club culture, because then it will be artificial, and the people in the new group, people will not like to adapt to that, and that could lead to failure of the club. So a mentor should know they should understand that each group has their own culture, and that culture has to be nurtured.
Thank you very much, sir, for answering that question and even going beyond to say what exactly a mentor should do in terms when they visit a club, instead of just imposing something from outside, how they should encourage that culture from within. Thank you for that, sir. The next question would be, what is the validity period for a club mentorship assignment?
Usually, if you are looking for to become a distinguished Toastmaster, the required period is 6 months. Right. If you look at 6 months, if the club is meeting every other week, so that means you're 12 visits. So you make 12 visits to the club, 6 months period, and then you are done and dusted. But if you are really passionate, and if you really want to help the people to evolve, I personally wouldn't mind extending that period being with the club. Now the best example I can give is when the Vayamba Toastmasters Club chartered, distinguished Toastmaster Sudash and myself, we both were involved, but I personally was not a mentor to the club, but it was my lead that the lead came to me, but I let Sudash handle it. And Sudash, DTM Sudash was a person who went. Now, Vayamba met every week those days. I don't know whether they still meet every week. They meet every week. So Sudash was a person who traveled from Jail, his house, to Kurunagala every week for 1 year, the minimum. I know, but he went more than 1 year, but at least every Sunday he would take his car and go. I have joined with him many occasions to go to Kurunagala, but no, that was his commitment. So if you look back today at Vayamba Toastmasters Club, it is more than 10 years old, and majority of their charter members are still members in that club. So that is how you lay the firm foundation. The mentor's job is to lay the firm foundation to a new club.
Thank you, sir. Now, this leads me to the next question, which is, what is the relationship of a club mentor with the club and also with Toastmasters district officials?
I'm sorry. It was an involuntary laughter. I wasn't, kind of being sarcastic or whatever. Please don't misunderstand me. See, the mentorship, when you look it at as a job or a role that somebody is assigning you to someone, then only all these questions come. But mentorship is a natural thing. Now, if I, while answering this question, if I go back to the previous question, how long should the mentorship last? Now, even today, SLT Toastmasters Club consider me as one of their mentors. But they are again a 12-year-old club. 12-year-old club, but they, since I work in the same organization, I'm not a member of that club, they come to meet and look for help. So that is mentoring. So there's no start date, yes, is the club chartering day, but there's no end date for you to mentor a Toastmasters club. And the relationship between you and the club and the district, I wouldn't say that there is any relationship apart from the relationship that the mentor has with the club. The club and mentor, there's nothing, no involvement with the district. But when you want to charter a new club, the district can appoint mentors. Now, usually this scenario doesn't happen in District 82 quite often, but in US and all that, people just come across the Toastmasters website and they start a club on their own without knowing anything about a district setup. So when that happens, the Toastmasters International will inform the district governor, and the district governor will take action to appoint a mentor. In Sri Lanka, it doesn't happen. In District 82, it doesn't happen because we generally are a very close-knit group, Toastmasters. It's a very nice group of people. When an area director or someone wants to start a club, we all know who the crowd is, and they among themselves, we agree, right? Okay, so and so you will become a mentor, you will do this job, and so that we do it. So I would say there is no direct relationship with the district, but between the club and the mentor, that's a very strong relationship, and it would last for a long time.
Understood, sir. Thank you very much. Now, again, from a club mentor's perspective, now, if any club mentor comes across with any issues with the executive committee member, how can the club mentor resolve these issues that might come up with the club executive committee or maybe even the club members? Any sort of advice that you could give? Because this is a question that is coming from a club mentor's perspective. So how would you suggest that this kind of issue is addressed?
Conflicts cannot be avoided. Conflicts will be there. And Toastmasters particularly, they pay very strong attention to resolution of conflict. I would say a conflict can be easily resolved if there is a good understanding. Why a conflict of this sort, how a conflict of this sort could happen in the beginning itself. Now we are talking about a club in infancy. There is a mentor, there are club officers, and there is a conflict between club officers and the mentor. How could it happen? When, if you look at the reason how it would happen, is that is mainly I would say primarily because of the lack of understanding, mainly because the area director or someone who is going to start this club is trying to impose something on the new members. Now, this is a free voluntary organization. We learn at our own pace, and nobody can force me. My VP education cannot force me to complete my path on such and such date, because I take that to my hand and I do it at my convenience. So if he tries to impose me something, there will be a conflict. So similarly, conflict can arise between mentor and club officers or with members of the club when you try to impose certain things. Generally, I think in good faith, I know district has certain awards, membership awards, and various awards that is coming up with the club. Then sometimes an area director or a mentor might think, okay, this is a new club, but they should achieve as many awards as possible, and they try to impose things. So when you do such things, there can be conflicts that arising. So I would say how you could avoid that conflict is by understanding each other. The mentor and the group of people whom you are mentoring, they should understand very well what are your boundaries and where would you stop your level of instructions and all that. Let them evolve on themselves, and that is the only way that you can avoid a conflict between a mentor and a team of people, which shouldn't happen, I would say.
Very clear. So just like in one-on-one mentoring, the same philosophy I believe applies, where avoid conflicts as much as possible. But if a conflict does rises in the course of the situation, make sure that you resolve it at the earliest possible by speaking with the club exco and the members. So thank you very much for that insight. Now, the next question is a bit technical. Is there an educational achievement that is required as a prerequisite for club mentoring?
Ashini, your voice, I didn't hear you properly. Can you repeat the question again, if you don't mind?
Let me come again. So is there an educational achievement required as a prerequisite for club mentoring?
Oh, no. I would say there's no prerequisite to become a mentor, but a mentor should be experienced. Now, when you say experience, how do you measure experience? You become a member today, and tomorrow you are an experienced member. You can call yourself an experienced member because you have experienced the program. But to become a mentor, I would say that number one is you should be mature enough. When I say mature enough, it is not your age. How matured you are in the movement, how long you have been in the movement. Have you been actively engaged with the district activities? Have you been actively engaged in your own club, taking up different roles, organizing a contest, or helping a conference or something? So if you have that sort of experience in Toastmasters movement for a considerable period of time, I think they are the people who should be who are the best fits to become a mentor. But it doesn't mean, right, okay, a new member cannot be a mentor. So how can a new member be a mentor if they themselves do not know? So maturity in Toastmasters is important. So there's no underwritten set of qualifications to become a mentor. But I would say when you select a mentor, you should select a member who is quite matured in the Toastmasters movement.
I think that was a very clear-cut answer, sir. So if anybody else has any questions from a club mentor's perspective, anything that you would like to know apart from the feedback that you gave us during registration, you can feel free to mention the same in the Q&A section. So we'll address those towards the end of the session. So having said that, there is one more question that I want to pose to you from, again, a club mentor's perspective. If a club doesn't reach the distinguished status, will that have an adverse effect on the mentor?
No, not really. Not really. Because now, as I said, the mentorship, the undertaking is only 6 months. So let's say a club charters somewhere in the beginning of June. Before the 30th of June, somebody starts a club. So, in 6 months period, the club, the mentorship period, your assignment actually ends. And let's say the mentor completes his obligations and finishes it off. but for unfortunate reasons, the club doesn't achieve distinguished status. It doesn't have any adverse effect on the mentor. But contrary to that, if you are a club coach, your undertaking is to make the club distinguished. So there is a huge difference between a club coach and a mentor. Since we are talking only about mentors, I will confine to that. There's no adverse effect whether you become distinguished or not.
Right. So now my next question to you, or rather my last question from a club mentor's perspective, was going to be, what would the danger be if the EXCO members don't support a club mentor? But now, in relation to the same question, I just got a question on the Q&A section, which is quite long. Let me take some time and read this out. Now, when a club mentor is being appointed for a weak or struggling club, what are the best practices and strategies that a mentor can adopt to take that club back onto the track carefully, handling the matters, conflicts, and required standards? Of course, the question is asking for your own personal experiences, because those will act as valuable case studies. So again, it's similar to the question that we had in store, which is, what is the danger if the EXCO members are itself struggling, if it's a struggling club, what are the strategies and actions that a mentor could take in this regard?
Actually, the answer is very short to that question. For a struggling club, you don't need a mentor. A struggling club would need a coach. But generally, a club, the district would appoint a coach to a club only when the membership goes below 8, I believe. Below a certain number of members only, the district can appoint a coach. But what if the club is struggling, but they are having only 12 members, the district cannot appoint a coach? Then what would be the situation? Actually, that is where the area director's role come very importantly into that. It's now, a club can only have 2 mentors who are appointed at the time of their charter. But here we are talking about a club which is struggling. I believe the mentorship period is over, but the club is struggling. Their membership is there. They may be having about 10, 12 members, which doesn't qualify the district to appoint a coach. But you have to revive the club. So this is where the area director and the division director and the whole district should get involved, and perhaps appoint a committee, or encourage some senior members to take membership in this club as dual members, or whatever. Adapt to some strategies to help that club to become a stronger club. So this problem will not happen if the initial mentorship has taken shape in the proper manner by the mentor visiting the club at least 6 months and sitting with them. But if it happens by any chance, this should be the strategy adapted, because you cannot pinpoint the mentors and say, you haven't done a good job, and that is why the club is struggling, or whatever. If the club is struggling, I think the district should adopt a different strategy rather than putting pressure on a mentor to revive the club.
Thank you, sir, for that comprehensive answer. I think that answered both the questions very well. Now, let me pose some questions to you from a club's perspective with regard to club mentoring. A very basic question first. What can the executive committee of a club expect from its club mentor? What can an executive committee expect from its club mentor?
First and foremost, what the executive committee can expect from the mentor is to provide them training. Because when a club is chartered, when the club is chartered, the district sponsored club officer training would be over, and they would not have any chance of getting following a proper training course. So so the first job of the mentor is to train the club officers, make them understand what they should be doing, what is the role of the president, and what is the role of the other officers, and what is the role of the members. So giving them the training which is required. Of course, the training material is available in Toastmasters website. Using those material or using your personal experience, make them understand, the club officers, make them understand their roles and responsibilities, and help them to achieve their best. And that would be the primary job of the mentor.
Thank you, sir. So again, this question was developed based on a question that came in through the registration form. A club mentor, like you said, shall provide insights such as to how the officer's actions or inactions affect every member and the club as a whole, as per the club mentoring guidelines provided by Toastmasters, things will happen accordingly. But sometimes there are instances where some mentors become yet another executive officer while executing the aforementioned responsibilities with or without knowing the harms that this can cause to a healthy club environment being formed. So on the other hand, some mentors do not provide such insights like mentioned to help the exco to improve or adjust their course, which again puts the club in a weak and troublesome situation. So what strategies can a club mentor follow to balance this without going into these two ends, without meeting either of these two ends? Again, through your practical experience, what do you suggest, sir?
Yeah, the club mentor is not an executive committee member, and they have no such role. And yeah, I understand what you are trying to say, the underlying idea. Sometimes a mentor can be so bossy, if I use that word, going to the clubs and saying, do this, do this, do this. And I have sometimes seen when I get invited to installation ceremonies, I go to the installation ceremony and I can see the mentor is running around, stand here, do this, do that. Which is not the right way to be a mentor. A mentor is a person, whether it is an individual club mentor or an individual member mentor or a club mentor, both roles are similar. A mentor's job is to just show them the path. This is how it is done, and this is the correct protocol, and this is what you should be doing, and you should show them and let them take it through. Let them experience. Now, if you say, for example, you, Hashini, you are the president of the club and I am the mentor of the club, and I come and take over your duties and say, right, okay, I am going to preside the meeting today. I will preside the meeting, and this is how it is done, which is wrong, because then there will be no opportunity for you to learn the role of the president. So therefore, that is why it is very important that you appoint a senior mature person as a mentor, because then that person would understand where should I draw the line, and where should the executive committee stay, and where should I stay. And I'll give you a classic example. When we began our club, IESL Toastmasters Club, about 17 years ago, our club mentors were late CTM Paddy Gunasekara and Major Douglas Vijayasinghe. They both are members of Colombo Toastmasters Club. So CTM Paddy was always available, and he attended each and every meeting. But one particular day we were scheduled to have a meeting. I was the Charter Vice President Education. We were scheduled for a meeting, but beforehand, CTM Paddy told me, Salim, I won't be able to come to the meeting today. Even Major Douglas will not be able to come, but you go ahead with the meeting. I said, okay, we will be able to handle, because we were about 8 months into the Toastmasters. So we were quite confident in conducting the meeting. So when I went to the meeting venue, believe me, we had only 4 members present. Now we had the full charter strength of 20 members, but only 4 members were there at the meeting. I was very frustrated, and I was a little bit angry with our members also, because remember, this happened about 17 years ago. I was also quite immature that time. I immediately called CTM Paddy and said, CTM Paddy, we have to cancel the meeting because there are only 4 members present. CTM Paddy, from that end, he gave me a very strongly worded lecture and said, Salim, no way you would cancel the meeting. You go ahead and hold the meeting. I said, how can we hold the meeting? There are only 4 members. He said, invent a way how to hold the meeting, because you are going to have fun. Fun is the basic fact of the Toastmasters. So you have little fun and go home at the end of the day. So I told the other 3 people who were around and said, CTM Paddy doesn't want us to cancel the meeting. Okay, and we went in. By this time, 2 more members had arrived. So we had about 6 members around. So I still remember that meeting. That was one of the memorable meetings we ever had in our club, because we did, each one of us, we did table topics, each one of us did evaluations, each one of us had real fun. We went 2 rounds of round robin, although we didn't have any prepared speech sessions. We had great fun, and along with that fun, we got experience and we got the learning. Later, when I look back and think, right, if CTM Paddy had agreed with me to cancel the meeting, we would have lost that opportunity to experience a wonderful Toastmasters meeting. So this is the role of a mentor when the club is, going low. They are at a low ebb and they want to give up, and they simply are not geared up to do. Then the mentor should give the little push and say, no, you cannot do it. You go ahead and do the meeting. Today I see so many clubs, just at the drop of the hat, they simply cancel the meetings. I simply cannot understand. Whenever I hear the word we are canceling the meeting, I feel very sorry for them, because I know the value of having a meeting on the scheduled day at the scheduled time. Whether you have 2 members, 3 members, or 4 members, you definitely can have fun and learn.
Thank you, sir, for answering that question in a very practical way by even citing an own example, own personal experience from your life. Now, this I think answered my next 2 questions. That is, what can members of a club expect from a club mentor? And is she or he the big boss of the club, and are we to fear him? I think you answered both of these questions also very successfully through that previous question. So now this leads me to
there are no bosses, Hashini. There are no bosses. The district director is not a boss. The PQD or CGD or whatever the role it may be. I am the chief judge of the district. We are not bosses. We are just delivering a voluntary job. So no bosses.
Very clear to everybody. So thank you so much for that, sir. Now, our next question, actually, the question I had in store is, we are a senior club. If we have, let's say, more than 2 years of experience, can we still consult our club? Now, this also has been posted again as a question. The question goes, can the support be sought from an initial mentor after some time when a club is struggling now, but maybe was performing well earlier, after the first initial assignment, but is struggling now? Can the club consult the mentor again?
Yeah, by all means, yes, go ahead, because Toastmasters is friends helping friends. Now I am a distinguished Toastmaster, as you all know, and I completed the old all the education program. Now I am following the pathways. I am in the dynamic leadership path. Now, sometimes I struggle in achieving certain projects and doing certain projects. Then I seek out to a mentor and I look for help and I ask someone, a trusted Toastmaster, to help me in preparing for that speech project. Similarly, a club also might struggle. Now, as I told you before, SLT Toastmasters Club, I completed my mentorship long time ago, but they still come and consult me for certain things. When now, for recently this year, SLT Toastmasters Club ran into a huge trouble due to this Corona lockdown and all that. The membership is employees of SLT, so most of them cannot come to work because they are under lockdown and they are at homes. Even online meetings are difficult to happen, and as a result, last renewal cycle there was a huge drop of membership. And the president came and asked me, "Well, how what can we do?" I said, "No, we will talk to each of them and ask them to come back." And I'm happy he listened to me and he again went back to the members again, and he was able to renew 20 members, and he was able to keep the charter strength intact. So yeah, going to mentor at any time is okay, because when that is why mentors are there to help you whenever you need.
Thank you, sir. Now, I believe that answer, that gave the answer to the question very crisp and clear. Now, the next question again is a bit of a problematic question, but I'm sure you have faced these kind of situations in your Toastmasters journey. Now, we are a senior club. We have more than 14 to 20 members. We need some assistance to improve our club quality. Can we request for a new member? If we can't, who can support us?
Now, at any moment of the time, whether you are a senior club or a junior club or just one year old club, you can't ask for a new mentor, because the district cannot appoint a new mentor. But the club collectively can uh, seek for a senior member to help them. Because that's again the same answer I gave to the previous question. Friends helping friends. So if you look for a friendly person who can mingle with everybody in the club. Now let's say if all the members are very young, so there can be, you can look for a younger member of the same age who will be able to come and have fun with you, speak the same language, in the sense the behave in the same fashion. Yeah, definitely you can look for someone, but the district will not appoint them as a mentor. But looking for help, assistance, strategies to make your club more interesting, yeah, by all means, yes, go ahead, do it, no problem.
Right. So thank you, sir, for that advice. Now the next question is, if a club is not getting the expected support from the club mentor, what can we do to bridge the gap? I think you emphasized on that, but is there anything more that you would like to say in with regards to that? Maybe any instances that you happen to come across a situation like this?
Sadly, I have seen this happening in some of the clubs in Sri Lanka. And see, now when you are a district governor, when I was district governor 2011 12 to 12, it is called district governor then. Now it is called the district director. When a new club charters in your district, the charter documents, the charter certificate and the charter member certificates, they come in a packet to the district governor, district director. And district director is supposed to make that official visit, whether it is the charter ceremony or something, make that official visit to the club and give it in a ceremonial manner, hand it over to the club president and the members. Now 2012 is about yeah, 8 years ago. I still have a packet of certificates, including a charter certificate, with me intact. Why did that happen? Okay, since you asked me for practical explanations, I'll tell you. This club was chartered in a hurry. Somebody wanted to get a credit to their area or whatever. So it was simply pushed upon a group of people, and the club was chartered. And I can remember the mentor. I wouldn't mention the names. Of course, the person, right. I wouldn't mention the name of the person. Um, the person was very in a mighty hurry to charter the club. I asked, why do you want to charter the clubs so much in a hurry? No. I want to achieve certain things and various things, and chartered the club. The packet came to me. And from the day the packet came, I was calling this mentor and asking, please let me know when can I come and visit the club and hand over the certificates. Oh no, they are not meeting now. They are not meeting anymore. They are not having their regular. So various excuses were given to me. But just see, in vain, the effort of the person, my effort, and the Toastmasters International effort, everything to start charter this club. The club simply died without even having a single meeting. The reason is the club was chartered for selfish purposes rather than a common community purpose, to help a group of people. Rather than that, it was started for selfish reason. I see some clubs get chartered on 30th of June. Why 30th June? Just to get that point in, I want to make my area presidents distinguished, so I will charter this club. So from 1st of July, the mentor is never seen and the club is just left alone. I have seen so many clubs, but for some good fortune or not, some of the clubs have revived and some have not. That is the whole, that is the reason for the failure. So that is why I always say, we as Toastmasters should always follow the 4 core values of Toastmasters: integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Right? If you want to start a club, do it wholeheartedly. Keep uh, make sure that you are ready to help that club for at least 6 months or even beyond, because there will be people who are coming back. Now I was a mentor to Panadura Toastmasters Club, and I don't most of the charter members are not there. I think not a single charter member is a member, but Panadura Toastmasters Club, they remember me. They know that I am one of their mentors, and sometimes they come and ask for help. I'm glad to do it. So the club is in existence even now because of the foundation that we have laid. So if you are starting a club, do it in good faith, remembering the 4 core values. You should be sincere and honest to help the group of people for their communication and leadership journey. If you do that, these problems will not happen. Sometimes the clubs find difficult to look for the mentor. Mentor is not available because they have got their credit point and they have gone into oblivion, unfortunately.
Yes, sir. Now, this I think indirectly answered the next question, which was, do we need to listen and act in the way suggested by the mentor at all times, even when we see that there is a better way to do so?
No,
Would you
not
like to
really. Not really. Now, see, this is again, I was confronted once. Um, see, some Toastmasters club in Sri Lanka have the habit of having this head table where you have the name boards of the president, the topic master, and the Toastmaster, and that setup. So I was invited to one such club meeting, and I went to the club meeting. And end of the club meeting, the president asked me, Salim, what can you suggest to improve this meeting? I generally find this having a head table at a small club meetings is quite a distraction, because when a speaker comes and speaks, they are turning their back to the head table, and it is quite distracted. The head table is good when you have a large stage and all that. So I pointed it out. Just ask yourself a question, whether this is absolutely necessary, or if only the speaker comes in front and speaks, that will be sounding very nice. But the club actually, they were annoyed. They were not happy about my comment, and they were saying, no, this is how we have been taught, and this is how our mentors have insisted us to do. I said, yeah, by all means do it. I am not asking you to change, but I am asking you a question: does it serve any purpose? Any action that a club does, if it serves any purpose, at least an iota of a purpose, then by all means do it. Just because your mentor tells you do this, if you don't feel that it is serving any purpose, by all means do otherwise, because there are, as you correctly said, there can be better ways of doing certain things.
Thank you, sir. So now this brings me to my last question from a club's perspective. But I have received this same question requesting you to brief this from a mentor's perspective as well. So let me first present my question to you. How can we build a good rapport and relationship with our club mentor? So the same question has been posted by one of our viewers, asking for a few tips and techniques to use that a mentor can use to develop the enthusiasm amongst the exco and the members to make it an auto-run club. So since you said that this is an interdependent relationship, so I think if you could answer both these questions together by emphasizing on what the exco can do, exco and members can do, and also what a club mentor can do, I think we will manage to manage our limited time also and answer these two questions successfully.
We Toastmasters, I know, but you would agree with me. We can befriend anybody. We easily become friends with people. So the best solution I can give for both club and the mentor is to go there and become a friend of them. And the members in the club should know, or they should feel that this guy is coming there for genuine reasons, not for any other reason. So the integrity, the honesty, the sincerity, everything, if in this if that is preserved in this membership, rather mentor and club relationship, then of course there won't be any problem, because the once again, we are friends helping friends. So the mentor is a friend of the club members, and the club members are in turn friend of the mentor. So there shouldn't be any barrier between them. So you don't command anything, you just help them. Okay, shall we do the round robin in a fun way? So he suggests something, so the other member would say, yeah, this would be a fun way to do a round robin. So they do the round robin in a fun way, so they enjoy. At the end of the meeting, have you seen people are very reluctant to go home after the meeting? It happens quite often. Why does that happen? Because they don't run home, because they hang around, because they have had a good time. So that is the best litmus test, I would say. If people do not run home after the club meeting, that means you have had a very successful meeting. So mentor can be the catalyst to make that happen. You go help members to have fun, then you have a successful club, and they will fall into auto run in time to come.
So in a similar manner, do you have any advice to give our exco members and the rest of the club members also on the
Yeah,
same line?
my only advice is treat the mentor as your friend. They are not an alien. They are all right. Mentor is coming, therefore we have to stay steady and all that. No, not that. Make your mentor a friend, and be free with that person. You should be able to ask any questions freely and without any judgment, without any criticism. You should be able to do it. If you do that, then you will have a very cordial relationship with the mentor, and you can definitely have fun and learn at the same time.
Thank you, sir. So earlier we spoke about whether or not a club mentor needs to have a particular Toastmastering experience, and you very clearly explained that it's all about maturity in terms of being a Toastmaster. Now, there's a question that has been posted by a viewer saying, do you think that a mentor should necessarily be an all-rounder or a good speaker in order to be an effective member?
Now, I don't consider myself as a good speaker, but I like to learn things, and I read things, and I always question why this rule is there and why this is there. So that is how I expand my horizon. So I believe that I can be a good mentor. So not necessarily a good speaker. Not what do you mean by all rounder? I don't know, but I would say the mentor should have at least had some experience in managing a club in executive committee. Not necessarily the president, may be a vice president education, maybe a sergeant at arms, maybe a treasurer, or whatever it is. So they should have at least 2-3 years experience in managing a club, and then they should be able to mentor another club. Because without knowing the internal mechanism of a club, how can you go and mentor another club?
I think that was very clear. Thank you, sir, for that answer. What would be, again, another question from the audience, what is the difference between club mentoring and club coaching?
Yeah, the mentor, the straightforward answer is mentor doesn't have any goals. The coach has a goal. The coach, the goal of the coach, or the KPI of the coach, is that they should make the club a distinguished club. So that is the KPI of the coach, but not the mentor. This is the basic difference. Even in a sport, right? If you take a sport, the coach would, if you take cricket, for example, the bowling coach will help the member to become a better bowler. So he will keep them practicing the bowling over and over again, and make them bowl the perfect ball so that they can get wickets. Right, so that is the role of the coach. But a mentor's role in a cricket, if you take the cricket environment, is to bring the team together, bring the team spirit up, and help the team as a group to achieve their goal of becoming or emerging the world champion or whatever. So it is the same here. The club coach doesn't have any goals. Their objective is to help the guide the club to how can they manage the program, and how can they manage the club, so on and so forth. Coach is specific. They will specifically focus on increasing the membership, running the education programs, and getting them coached on evaluation, the speeches, and everything. So the coach's role is more I would say, I wouldn't say that I don't want to use the word responsible. It has more richness than the mentor. Mentor is just a friend, then they sit with you and help the club guide themselves. But coach's role is different.
I absolutely love the way you explained it, sir. Thank you. It made it very clear as to what the difference between a mentor, a club mentor, and a club coach is. So thank you very much for that. Again, our last question from the audience. How has the club mentoring experience helped you to upskill in your professional capacity? Probably in maybe your career or your consultation, your coaching. How has it helped you improve professionally as a mentor?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Lovely question. I have been a mentor for quite a few clubs, quite a many clubs. As I told you before, I don't accept any mentorship if I cannot devote time to that club. So those mentorship roles have been very rewarding and very enriching. I simply cannot say, right, it has helped me this way in my professional life, but um, professionally, when I lead my teams in my organization, and when I go to the board meetings and sit in the board meeting and all that, I always feel that because of my mentoring experience, uh, these people, they are quite alien, they are not Toastmasters. I know Toastmaster, they would, we know respect is one of our core values. We respect each other. But when you go to a different environment, a professional environment, they are quite judgmental and all that. But because of this skill, probably the way I speak or whatever, I always feel that I have earned their respect. They respect me, not because I'm okay. I may look old, but but I would say those are the intangible benefits that I have got out of the Toastmasters program. Rather than, I wouldn't confine it to mentoring alone, but the entire program, being so involved in the program, has helped my professional life immensely. I cannot say right in these areas, but they have definitely improved my professional life and also my personal life.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with that wonderful answer. Now, we've come to the end of our session, but last but not least, let me ask you, if you had one piece of advice for every club mentor, what would this be? Maybe you
Involve
can sum up
yourself.
everything you said.
Yes, involve yourself honestly. Always project sincerity. That is the only advice I would give. If you do that, you will be successful as a mentor, and you will reap the benefits, and you will see the benefits before your eyes very, very quickly. Honesty is the key.
Thank you very, very much, sir, not only for answering this question, but for being with us all throughout during this hour. So I think we managed to stop the session right on time. So thank you, everybody else, also for joining in. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. And we
Thank you very
all hope.
much for having me on this program, and it's my delight, and I'm very much pleased to be in the presence of Toastmasters, despite the current situation in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for sharing all those personal experiences, all your knowledge with us. And I believe it has helped our audience also immensely. So thank you, everybody, for being with us. We hope to see you at our next membership forum, which will be held next month at the November edition of our membership forum. So thanks again, sir. And thank you, everybody, for joining in. We hope that you have a pleasant evening. Good night.